Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members, for the time to appear in front of you today in consideration of 1873, and also the pleasure to appear with my Northeast California running mate on some of these same issues that we talk about all the time.
You say Northern California.
North California, yes.
That's right.
Mr. Chairman, again, thank you. This bill, it's really quite a simple concept. We have much of the generation of power in this country occurs in rural areas away from urban areas. And so long transmission lines are needed to go through those open lands, those wild lands, to get this electricity from where it's generated to where it needs to be. Many of those are going to be forested areas to move that power from it where it was generated in the newer solar arrays that might be out in the desert, hydro plants, wherever they are. Forested areas sometimes are going to be in line with that. So what the bill is seeking to do is to coordinate much more between the utilities and the U.S. Forest Service and the Bureau of Land Management on how the management of the trees that grow within proximity to the power lines should be handled. There's 90 million miles of electric transmission lines and 17,000 transmission and distribution facilities that exist either on Forest Service or Bureau of Land Management land. In order to maintain the transmission lines rights of way, vegetation management plans called integrated vegetative management are developed with land management agencies. These policies are developed often are contradictory from region to region, though. The current decision-making process has led to redundancy of reviews and requirements that lead to unnecessary delays in executing vegetative management practices. The consequences can be catastrophic. As mentioned earlier by the chairman, Forest Service reported 232 wildfires in 2012, 113 wildfires in 2013, caused by contact between power lines and trees that have either fallen or allowed to grow too long in proximity to them. This bill aims to leverage the ability of electric utilities to respond quickly to hazardous trees at risk of causing a forest fire or a blackout and prevent these things from happening by quick removal of an obviously suspect tree. So what we're really trying to do is prevent unnecessary blackouts that would happen in the urban areas and the blackout of the skies from the pollution coming from burning forests that burned hundreds of thousands of acres in my district, and Mr. McClintock's district, and we're seeing more and more so across even the eastern part of the country here as some drought conditions are affecting them. So we have blackouts everywhere, and the black ash left behind in a ruined forest because of an unnecessary risk caused by the inability to manage a tree that would be a hazard and an obvious hazard. Utilities know this. The bill also addresses the liability concern many electric utility companies have with land management agencies as permitted under federal law. As the law currently stands, an electricity operator must seek permission and approval with the Forest Service to trim or remove a hazard tree near a right-of-way. Okay, that's fine. But if such a request is either denied or left unresolved in limbo for a long time, and the tree falls on a power line, sparking a wildfire, the owner or operator of that utility is stuck with an exorbitant fire suppression bill. One small co-op operating in Lapine, Oregon was unjustly billed over $300,000 by the U.S. Forest Service after the request to trim a hazard tree was denied. The liability should be on those that are not getting the permitting done and not allowing the permission to take an obvious hazard tree and move it as common sense would dictate. So, Mr. Chairman, this bill originally sponsored by Representative Zinke of Montana, now our Interior Secretary, last Congress, provides electric utility companies with the tools they need to reduce the risk, unneeded risk, of forest fires, protect the habitats that are ruined by unnecessary forest fires, and improve grid reliability for those folks that depend on it in the urban areas especially. It'll promote accountability and consistency across federal land management agencies. Groups such as the Natural Rural Electric Cooperative Association, Pacific Gas and Electric, and many others all support this legislation as a win-win. I hope to see its swift passage on the House floor. Of course, the committee would seek a structured rule that asks that the text of 1873 is reported by the Committee on Natural Resources be made in order. The Committee also asks that this version of the bill be considered as read. Finally, I ask that you provide 1 hour of debate evenly divided between the majority and minority bill managers from the Committee on Natural Resources. I'm prepared to answer any questions you would have. Thank you for your time.
Mr. LaMalfa, thank you very much. The